I am beyond excitement as we get into the next season of Yuki Yuna as a Hero, the Mankai chapter, which is airing in the fall 2021 anime season. I'm having a little bit of struggle trying to remember a lot of things, but I think this is a nice little refresher episode to get us back into the feeling of the characters as we obviously face something new. But yes, my impressions on the first episode of Yuki Yuna as a Hero, the Great Mankai chapter. So let's dive into it. Like I said, a lot of reintroduction to the characters as we see them apparently getting a lot of instruments and doing a random band, which was dorky. They do hint at the fact that it's only been about a half a year, not even a half a year, since the whole events that unfolded with the Hero chapter. And the girls have obviously been relieved of their duty, with the vortex being pushed back, with Shinju basically having sacrificed itself. They no longer have to do what they originally did. They're no longer heroes. They get to live their normal lives again. We'll see how long that lasts. I have a funny little moment with them playing airsoft guns. Apparently their hero club helping an airsoft club do their event, and having this goofy little moment with, Togo being obsessed with protecting Yuki, having the little sister being a hostage and eating food at the same time. Karen being her usual tsundere self, and Sonoko just being an absolute goofball. They then cut to a goofy little camping scene where we, again, kind of really hit heavy on the fact that Sonoko just loves throwing money at things, so everybody's trying really hard to putting up tents, and here's Sonoko just doing a flip open tent and just like, that's done, yay, I'm done. This whole long spiel with Togo helping Yuki with setting up a campfire, and then literally Sonoko walks up and just torches it on. Oh yeah, and also Itsuki creating a very much a biological hazard of a pot of food, and yeah, they get biohazard reference somewhere in there somewhere. But again, and really hitting heavy on this idea of these girls moving on. They're even looking forward to Christmas, Sonoko's first Christmas with her friends, so they're all really super happy. We do get a brief moment where Sonoko and Washi, or I'm saying Washi and Togo. I know, they gave her two different names, so it's confusing at times. But Togo and Sonoko basically having this conversation about Jin. And again, for those that don't remember Jin, being from the Washi Oshumi chapter, the very first story, the prequel story, being obviously the hero that sacrificed herself. Just them both not being able to come to terms with it, or at least confront her. Neither one of them have gotten the courage to go see her at her grave. And this again hits back on Washio and her sadness in the fact that she forgot about them. That she still can't forgive herself for having forgotten Jin and Sonoko. And that being pretty much the driving force to her being unable to approach Jin. Following the scene, everybody kind of goes back home. We get a brief moment with Fu and Itsuki as Itsuki calls out Fu for basically still checking her emails and looking for notifications for their next duty. It's a habit that she still hasn't been able to get rid of, even almost half a year later. And yes, the final scene where we have Togo, she's at home and somebody's at the door. She goes out to find the Taisha. The Taisha organization apparently is still a thing, and they're requesting them once again. Obviously, she's very upset at this. They felt like their duty was over and that they would no longer be put through this, but apparently there's a new threat. And following this brief moment, we see essentially a whole bunch of troops, or heroes, I'm assuming, all lined up at the edge of, I'm guessing, the land, and seeing out to the vortex. And there's several crafts coming towards them, including one that's carrying another hero. So I'm not sure exactly what they're insinuating here, if this is maybe possibly another land that they've discovered that is in the middle of another vortex, or the vortex, or I don't know. We've never really seen all these other girls before. I didn't see any really of our cast within the lineup of the soldiers. Maybe I just missed something. But it does look like there is another group of heroes somewhere, and there's some sort of, I guess, group that is traveling between them. Again, so my assumption is that there is implying there's another area that has a god that is making an area of no vertex, or possibly maybe the Taisha has been recruiting more girls behind their backs and they still see some sort of threat. It obviously does show that the vertex still exists. We obviously know that the Shinju is gone, so at least our area of where our girls are at, Shinju no longer exists. There's no god to protect it. They're living on their own. They have no protection, essentially. But that was their choice. They chose that the humankind would choose their own future. They wouldn't let Shinju essentially sacrifice Yuki in order to have strength. Instead, they chose to basically claim their own domain. And that pushed the vertex back and remove Shinju. So I'm curious where it goes from here. Does it mean that, again, if there's another area of other girls, another god that is protected from the Vertex, and maybe they're calling for help from the girls of this area and the Taisha of this area? That theory, I think, would be the most interesting, to see that there is another area similar to Shinju's area where a god is protecting some people. Maybe they're at the edge of their rope, and so they need the help of Taisha and the people of this area to, I guess, help them fight back the Vertex, or maybe fight their own god. We don't know. I think that there was, at some point, they did explain that there was multiple gods, and that the Shinju one was the one that we basically followed. So maybe getting to those other gods would be interesting. There's also the aspect that maybe the gods of another area might find Yuki and all the other girls a threat because they managed to kill Shinju, which technically Shinju gave its power to Yuki. But I'm really curious to see where it goes from here. Like I said, I'm really curious to see if this is just an aspect of another area, because they never really give us an indication that the Taisha were still recruiting girls, but I guess they could have in the background. But I think I'm more leaning on this being just another set of girls somewhere else, possibly, which would be, like I said, really cool. It's hard to say because these girls had these really weird helmets on. I don't think the girl that was on the craft was Yuki. It's probably like a diplomat or something like that. Somebody to send between the two areas through the vortex to ask for help. So it'll be cool to see where that comes from there. But yeah, a lot of questions are going forward. Hopefully my very hazy memory of the series doesn't fail me. Like I said, I seem to remember there was multiple gods. They've only technically taken out one of them. The vortex is still there technically. They never really explained that when Yuki was granted the power of the Shinju, just how far the vortex was sent back. Was there more areas cleansed? Was there more areas accessible now that the vertex was pushed back so far? It was never really explained at the end of the last season, or nor do if I think that was really the case. But maybe if people in the comments can help me refresh my memory. But it's definitely got me excited. Like I said, I love Yuki Yuna as a hero, and I'm so super excited for more of this. I'm really kind of interested in this world and to see where they can kind of expand it from here. Technically, the hero chapter was very weak in my opinion. It felt very rushed. Felt like it spent too much time really dwelling on Yuki's isolation in her curse, and maybe that some other stuff could have really been fleshed out regarding the Vertex and what the choice by Shinju and everything and the aftermath itself. But like I said, really solid first episode. Really has me excited. Like I said, they did really well in kind of reintroducing the characters, getting us back into the gist of things, expressing how they're excited about their moving forward from everything and their duties, and then really just being kind of thrown right back into it. The other obvious question is, does this only require Togo? Are all of them going to be recruited back in? I know Togo specifically says, does it have to be us, thus implying it's all of them, but typically they would go to Fu, but I guess technically with Togo being the veteran, they would go to her instead. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. I hope you guys will join me on a weekly basis. I will be covering this on a weekly basis unless it just gets really boring or something. I doubt it will. But I'm excited for it. I hope you guys will join me on a weekly basis as we go through this. So if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode, and if you're excited, and maybe correct me where I'm wrong, maybe help me out with my memory if I did mess anything up. But I hope you guys enjoy this video, and y'all take care.